This video was made possible by Gamersgate.com. Download games anytime, anywhere. Skip it up and that up. So Zelda series producer Ise Aonuma, I think I'm saying that name right. I looked all over the damn internet before I made this video, and I actually got to the point where I actually put a post on my Review Tech USA Facebook page, and someone told me how to say it. So, oh my god, I know who he is. I've known about him for ages. I just never had to say his name. I even looked up reviews on YouTube, and I don't think no one knows how to say his name, because even like when you saw like GameSpot and stuff interview him, they're like, oh, here's the Legend of Zelda series producer, and they don't say his name. So anyway, hope I said it right. So he's talking about, in this GameSpot article, he's talking about The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. That's the new title that's coming up for the 3DS. And he's talking about a bunch of different things, and one of them concerned me, but the rest he's talking about how the game is going to be 60 frames per second, so when you have it in 3D mode, because when games are in 60 frames per second, the 3D is more vivid on the 3DS. He's talking about how it's a true sequel to The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, the Super Nintendo game. It's not a remake, so he didn't feel as pressured because he didn't have to remake basically what was in his eyes a masterpiece. And he talks about a couple other things too. I'll have a link below to the article in the description if you want to check it out. But the thing that caught my attention is that his whole development team found out about the 2DS mid-development cycle of The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, and he said they had to tweak some things because of the release of the 2DS. This is exactly what he had to say. It's not that you can't play The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds in 2D. It's just that it becomes clearer when you have the 3D effect on. We found out about the 2DS during development, not before, and we also made changes so that we were sure that you could still play and solve puzzles only with 2D. It's definitely still playable in 2D. Well, first off, he's saying that they only had to slightly modify the game because of the 2DS. Dude, not being able to solve puzzles is a pretty big modification, or a pretty big problem if you own a 2DS. Imagine they didn't modify anything and it was virtually impossible to solve the puzzles. Here's my concern. Now, I know Nintendo, when they sent out development kits for the 3DS, the developers had to sign an agreement. Look, if you're going to make games for the 3DS, they have to be completely playable in 2D. But if Nintendo themselves had, an issue where the game wouldn't be as easy to figure out puzzles if you play the game in 2D, don't you think third-party developers may do something like that in the future? So that concerns me, because here I bought a 2DS, I'm going to review it, and right now I have to say, I think the thing is pretty damn comfortable. It gives you all the features of a conventional 3DS, but to me, it's more comfortable, and I could give a crap about the 3D. But if there's games that are going to come out in the future that, okay, yeah, you could still trudge through them in 2D, but it would make them more playable in 3D because, say, like the new Legend of Zelda coming out, there may be a puzzle that requires the 3D. That kind of, to me, is an compatibility issue with the 2DS. So I'm kind of glad I stumbled across this article before I put up my official review of the 2DS, which, like I said, I'm really enjoying it. I've been playing it a lot today because I know I need to put the review up and I really want to get a lot of time with the system. I'm going to make note of this. Am I saying that games are going to be completely incompatible or games are not going to work? No, I'm sure all the games are, but if it makes the experience less enjoyable, or if it makes figuring out a puzzle or some kind of obstacle in the game a lot more challenging because you can't switch over to 3D, that to me is a compatibility issue, and that's not a good thing. And if Nintendo themselves is admitting they had to modify a game to work with the 2DS console, that means there's going to be issues, especially with third-party developers, because if Nintendo caught themselves having to fix things for the 2DS, I'm sure that third-party developers are going to have to do the same thing, and I'm sure because they're not Nintendo, they're going to let things slip through the cracks, and some games are not going to work as well on the 2DS. You can't say I'm wrong about that. So let me know your thoughts on this. Does this concern you? Does this make you think twice about getting a 2DS? I mean, I gotta say, the system is kicking ass. Spoiler alert, I'm pretty much liking everything about it. It's really comfortable, more comfortable, in my opinion, than the typical clamshell 2DS, or 3DS, I mean to say, and 3DS XL, and it offers all the same features. But if there's games that come out that slip through the cracks that somewhat require the 3D for the optimal experience, that's not a good thing, and that could hurt the 2DS as a whole. So alright, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe, and as always, thank you for supporting Review Tech USA. Have a good one.